All righty. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Welcome to Monday Night Live. Hello, everyone. It's been about a month since we saw each other, so happy to see everyone. We're still letting folks come on in. But those of you who are already here, please let us know where you are from in the chat. Let us know where you're from and who you're representing. Good evening. I see Miss Gentry, long time no see. All right, New Jersey, good to see you. Jersey in the house. All right, folks are still coming in. Who else? Oh, Rocky Mount, Word Tabernacle. Hello, Word Tab. We love you guys. Hello, Texas. And yes, it has been a minute. I see some more Jersey folks, Woodbridge and Raritan, what's that? Clinton Township, New Jersey. Hello, everybody. Come on in the room. Who else is here? If you're representing your church, let us know your church. If you want to shout out your pastor, go ahead and do that. If you're here from a sorority or a fraternity, we want to know who you're representing. So come on in as we get ready to get started. We just giving folks a few more minutes. We know it's holiday time. We're giving everybody a chance to come home from shopping. Okay, East Hampton, New Jersey. All right. Oh, okay, Josh, no worries. Let's get Josh settled in here. Very excited to see you all this evening. This is great. FBCLG in the building. We love FBCLG. Who else is coming in? Yes, indeed. Everyone's still coming. Hello, everyone. We have such an exciting time planned for you. Hello, Durham, North Carolina, Delta Sigma Theta. Hello, hello. Indeed, indeed. I'm sure there's some other Deltas in there. If you're a Delta, go ahead and shout out your sorors and say hello. This is exciting. We're so happy. I can't wait for tonight. I'm so glad you all are here. I know I say this every time I see you that it's going to be but I have one of my favorite people on today, so I'm so excited about this. And I will tell you about her shortly. And you all see her giggling. Yes, that laugh is infectious. Yeah, okay. Oh, all right. I see Miss Blakemore. I hear that Delta, y'all whooping in the chat. I see this. I love it. I love it. All right, we still got folks coming in, and we're gonna get started shortly. I'm just trying to give folks a minute to come on in. Did I miss any shout outs? If you're just joining us, please welcome, welcome. Good to see you. We're getting ready to get started, but we want to make sure that we know where you're from. So please make sure you put where you're from in the chat. We want to shout out your churches, your sororities, your fraternities, your area. We want to know what areas of the country we're hitting. So far, we see Jersey and Texas and Durham, North Carolina. Let me see what else is going on in the chat. Oh, Accra, Ghana. All right, Boston, Massachusetts. Yes, hello. Hello. All right, this is good. See, we're diverse here. All right, debt-free. All right, I see somebody who's debt-free and representing herself. Yes, indeed. Congratulations on that. Macon, Georgia. All right, another Delta. Hello, Miss Susie Little. That is my soror from Covington, Georgia. Shout out to Zeta as well. All right, everybody else, where you at? Where you at? All right.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Athens, Georgia, too. All right. Okay, we're cranking now. We're cooking with grease now. We got some more folks in the waiting room, so we're going to let them in. And then we're going to get started because we try to be D-free with your time as well as your money. Hello, Vegas. Hello, Delta. And now you're in Pittsburgh, PA. All right. Y'all got to link up. Now you're over here with us on this coast. So we got to link up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. Okay, still coming in. All righty. Yes, indeed. Again, we are just so excited to have you back with Monday Night Live. You know, where we meet once a month to talk about all things money, all things D-free. Indeed, we do. Wait, I'm sorry, Josh, I see you in here. I'm trying to multitask. Give me 1 second, Josh. I'll get you hooked up in a second. Yes, so we talk about all things money, all things D-free, and we're excited to have you all with us once again. It is always a pleasure to see you all here. Before we get started, just want to go over a few housekeeping. rules and tabs. You know how we do. So we just want to say that in order to minimize distractions, we just ask that you, and also to reduce the amount of microphone feedback, we just ask that you remain muted. Just remain muted. But if you want to join the conversation, feel free to unmute yourself. As you know, this is a communal space. We are interactive. So I encourage you to unmute yourself if you'd like to join the conversation, like my soror Susie Little did. These sessions are always being recorded, and they're available through our website, which is www.dfreefoundation.org. And it's also available on our YouTube channel. And they kind of live there. So if you want to revisit some of the things that we've talked about, if you missed a point or one of the gems that is going to be dropped tonight, feel free to go back, and you can also share those links with others. Now, our chat is open and active. We want to make sure that you put all your information in the chat. You guys can connect with one another in the chat. But if you have any questions during the session, you can either use the raise hand feature, which I'll talk about in a minute, or you can drop that question in the chat. We'll be checking it often. Also, we're going to be dropping links in the chat. So we mentioned a link, it will be dropped in the chat. So be sure to look for that. We want to make sure that we can address all of the questions. So we don't always wait till the end. We will have a time designated, but if you have something that's germane to the conversation, feel free to jump in. That raised hand feature, if you'd like to share your thoughts, please use that raised hand feature. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. And you just raise that little hand and it'll allow me to see you right away. Sometimes when we're talking, I can't see when people are unmuted. So please make sure you use that raised hand and it'll kind of put you to the front of the line. And so we want to encourage you to do that as well. As I mentioned, we have such an exciting night ahead of us. I have one of my favorite people in all the land, and I'll tell you why. Because when she talks money, I understand it. She puts it where we can reach it. She is a phenomenal guest, and we're happy to have her with us talking about tonight's topic, resetting your money mindset for 2023. And what I love about her is that she has such an amazing view on money and how we can use our money and use it wisely. There's so many people just jumping in, so forgive me. I'm trying to multitask. Josh, this is going to be your job in 2 seconds. But let me just introduce our phenomenal guest, because I've been talking about her and raving about her. And so I will let everyone know. Tonight we have with us Jacquette M. Timmons, who is a financial behaviorist. Okay, she's president and CEO of Sterling Investment Management, Inc. And the reason why I am so excited is because Jacquette is intentional about her sabbatical. And she takes time off, and she gets her peace, and she gears up for the new year. And somehow or another, she said yes to this session, which is right in the beginning of her sabbatical. So I'm grateful that you said yes to joining us tonight. So thank you. Like I said, you guys are in for a treat. And I am going to allow Ms. Jacquette to tell us a little bit about herself before we get started.
Can I just take you everywhere with me for an intro?
I would enjoy that.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation to be here. In terms of telling folks a little bit about myself, I think to expand upon what you've already shared, it's really just my commitment to helping people change their relationship with money and how they view it. And as I said at DFest, I feel like if I can do that, I can help people then shift how they think about it, how they behave with it, how they talk about it. And that filters then down into how we treat it or feel like it treats us, the choices that we make and the power of those choices, and how we evaluate and assess the results that we experience. So I'm excited to be here because it's always every speaking opportunity is a chance to work out and to work on my purpose. And I really do embrace my purpose as helping people to focus on the human side of money, because if success with money were just a mathematical problem, everybody would have all the success that they wanted and more.
I love when you say the human side of money. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about that? Because I think with us, everyone thinks of money as a means to an end, or as a goal to go after. Can you tell us just a little bit about the human side of money?
So to hit on yes, I can, but to hit on the point about money being a means to an end, it is a tool. It is a tool. So it is that thing that is a means to an end, but it is also so much more. And it's so much more because so much of our feelings and our identity is tied up into it. Like how we evaluate where we are and why we are where we are has a lot to do with whether or not we are passing judgment on that, whether we feel shame, whether it's meeting our expectations, whether we are expressing gratitude. So when we talk about the human side of money, it's the full spectrum of emotions that we all experience, and it is tied to money, that thing that you will have the longest relationship with in your life.
It's so funny that you would mention emotion and our money being tied to it, because I think some of us are starting to feel just a little bit guilty around this time of year because of holiday spending. A lot of times our emotions are tied in because we want to show everybody how much we love them through our spending. And some of us, it might be too late, but is it really too late to reel it in? I mean, I know we've got a couple of days till Christmas, but to talk a little bit about our holiday spending and how we can kind of control that.
It's never too late to reel it in, never too late. I think the question becomes, if you didn't come into the holiday season with a game plan, if you didn't have an idea of what you wanted to buy for whom and what your threshold was, and you have an inkling that maybe you've exceeded what you should have, well, maybe right now is a great time to do a pulse check and see how much, like tally up, how much did you actually spend? And then B, go back and perhaps reorient the rest of the holiday season in terms of how much you will spend and for what. You might have to scale back perhaps on the gifts and the entertainment if you've already overdone it on the front end.
Wow. Okay. So you said reorient. That made me feel a little bit better. But thank you for that, because I know that a lot of us are starting to, hit the Amazon button and the FedEx button and all the other things we have to do at the last minute. So thank you for the opportunity to kind of reel it in. I love this line of work that you're in. What motivated you to start this? I mean, why is a financial behaviorist needed?
Duke University did a study, and from that study, the conclusion was that 40% of how you and I and everyone that's joining us today and that will perhaps watch the replay, that 40% of how we live our day is on autopilot. We don't really give much thought to it. And so if I think about that through the lens of money, how much of what we do with our money, how much of our beliefs about money, how much does what we expect from money, how much of that comes from the beliefs and the expectations that we've adopted and the results of the experiences that we've had, how much of that is just a carryover without any interrogation around whether or not it's working for us or whether or not we want to carry it forward. So again, if math were the only ingredient when it came to being successful with money, you could always figure it out, and if you can't figure it out in your head, there's a calculator. But because there's so much more to it, there's a need for understanding, why do you do the things that you do? And a behavior very rarely is done without any influence of other factors. And so that's why. And for me, from a professional standpoint, what really got me interested in it was seeing the crash of '87 up close and personal, and really seeing how one event happened, but there were two dramatically different responses to it. People that on one hand, if they could have, they would have jumped out of a window because of how much money they lost, and I'm not exaggerating. And then other people that were really calm. And I was fascinated by that. Like, how is this possible? So that was, the first seedling. The second seedling was spending a great deal of time in the private bank on a team managing money for high net worth individuals, and really coming to understand that while they had a couple of more zeros and commas behind those zeros than my family did, my mother worked for Social Security. So we were not a high net worth family, but I could see that they still had the same questions, the same challenges, the same frustrations. So this notion also that people with a lot of money don't have to, quote unquote, worry, I really wanted to kind of dispel that myth. And then on the flip side, I also wanted to dispel the myth that people who don't come from a great deal of money don't know how to manage their money, because that's untrue too.
Right.
So that's a long way to answer your question, but I hope it's a full picture.
Oh, so rich though. So we needed that background. And I love that you were pushed into action because of what you heard and what you learned. And I love the comparison, I guess, or at least the fact that people that don't have money, can also jump in and really be helped in this manner. It's so interesting because at our pre-conversation, one of the things you said kind of stands out to me now. And it was this, as we're talking about the crash in 87 and what's going on now with this recession and all these things, you had a really unique take on the recession. You mentioned something that was so different than what I thought about. And I just thought it was really essential to kind of share that with our audience tonight. Just about.
Yeah, the thing that I shared in that conversation was that people make money during a recession. Like, it is not all doom and gloom. And that's one of the things, like, I've seen a number of crashes, some big ones, some small ones. So we need to recognize that there are some people, some companies that will make money in a recession. They will make money when the market is quote unquote down, because it's not always down for everybody. And I think that the way that you position yourself so that you are not negatively affected by something you can't control, like when a recession happens, is when you tie your goals to how you manage your money. And it's managing your money from two standpoints. It's managing your money from a cash flow standpoint, but then it's also managing your money in terms of how are you aligning, how are you investing for that particular goal. So if you have a goal that's 0 to 5 years, that should never be in the stock market. And also, let's not confuse the economy with the stock market. They are not one and the same.
Please explain the difference.
Yeah. So, the economy is, as we like to say, is really, gross domestic product, right? How are goods and services being bought and sold in the economy? So when you and I go to the grocery store, or we go to Target or whatever, that's showing up in the economy. The stock market is literally buying and selling stocks, whether it's individual stocks or mutual funds. And that's a part of your investment portfolio, whether it's your individual investment portfolio or it's inside your retirement plan at work, if you have a 401k or 403b, or if you're lucky enough to still have a pension.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'm so glad that you explained that. This is a place where we get, we have all levels of folks that are involved in finances. And some people are like me, needing you to kind of break some things down. So I appreciate that, definitely. Is there anyone else whose mind was blown when Jacquette says that we can make money during a recession? All the media and everybody's telling us pinch, 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 don't do this. But that really blew my mind when she shared that. I'm just checking the chat. Thank you for the compliment on the Christmas sweater, Miss Royetta. I only like it because it's red and you're a Delta. Barbara, congratulations. Her holiday shopping stopped 4 years ago and she feels good about it. So thank you for that. We appreciate that. Let's see who else is in here. There's some good news in here. See, people agree that some people's mind were blown. And yes. Oh, Susie Little says that your curiosity, Jacquette, is our gain. So we're grateful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And if I can also, just remind folks that are here, and if they have a business,
yes,
now is not the time to offer discounts. I know that's going to be counterintuitive, nor should you lower your prices. So if you are like beginning to feel a little stressed, like, oh my God, is my business going to do well and survive again this potential recession? Come up with a different offer at a price point that will help you with the cash flow that you want, but don't sabotage what you've already put out there and have a price point for and have people buying at that price point. So don't do that.
This is great. Do you hear this? Our business owners, if you have a Black business owner, please begin to drop those businesses in the chat. Are you hearing these nuggets? This is amazing. That sounds so opposite of what the world will tell you to do, because everybody's offering discounts. And could you just explain a little bit more behind that so that some of the business owners that are on here can, really understand the psychology behind that?
Yeah. So, one of my biggest pet peeves is the phrase, charge what you're worth. I hate that phrase. And I hate it because I'm Black. My heritage is Jamaican American. And we've got an ancestral history of there being a dollar amount attached to someone's humanity. So when someone says charge what you're worth, that's how I viscerally experience it, even if more than likely that is not at all what they mean when they say that phrase. But I'm on a mission. Any chance I get to invite people to join me on, let's not have that be a part of our vocabulary. But even if we set my personal feelings aside, here's the deal. The prices that you charge for things are a reflection of a couple of things. They're a reflection of what's the job of what it is that you are offering, whether it's a product or service or an experience. And that job can be that you are helping your client, your customer, your prospect answer a question or address a frustration or challenge or fulfill a dream or a desire. So that's one job or one reflection, right? The job of what it is that you're doing. The second is it's a reflection of what it is that you're bringing to the table. And that's a lot of things. That's a concatenation of a lot of things. Your education, both formal and informal, your experience, your perspective, your gifts, your talent. So that's the second thing that your pricing, reflects. The third would be the container. Are you doing something in an hour? Are you doing something over multiple months? Are you doing something in perpetuity? Is it an experience? And is it a one-time experience? Someone comes into your boutique or your salon. Is it a one-time experience or is it something that's over and over? Your pricing is a reflection of that. And then finally, it's also a reflection of what your business needs from you and what you need from your business. So that's why.
Business owners that are in the chat now getting all of these nuggets. Yes, we're shouting out Cynthia Zellers with her business, and we're going to hear more about these businesses. We see who's that? Sophia's in there with her business, and we see Miss Florice is in there, and also Miss Margie. So please keep dropping these businesses in the chat, and we're going to support each other. So please drop them in there, and so that kind of leads us to our entrepreneurship conversation. There are a lot of people that are looking for financial independence and financial freedom, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to start my own business." A lot of businesses, somebody that started in COVID. I don't want to work for the man. We've heard all these things. The man's trying to keep me down. I want my own hours. Can we just speak a little bit about something you shared that was so powerful, and that was the romanticized entrepreneurship? Can you just dive into that and share with some of our people that are contemplating entrepreneurship, and those who are actually entrepreneurs can weigh in on this as well. So can you please share?
Yeah, when we were chatting, I said the comment and it just came out and I was like, we need to stop romancing entrepreneurship. I can't envision myself doing anything else. And yet this whole notion that A, you don't have a boss, you do, it's your clients, you get to control who your bosses are, but it's your clients. B, you probably work more hours when you have your own business than you do a 9 to 5. So there's that. And let's not also lose sight of the fact that when you have your own business, there's a great deal of risk that you've taken on that you never have to assume when you work as a 9 to 5. So I am all for it. But I don't want people romanticizing it and thinking that it is this panacea that is going to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word I'm looking for. It'll come to me. But I guess the thing that I'm trying to get across is this whole notion that some people will start a business thinking that, oh, if I do this and I'm in a different environment, the things that frustrate me at work, I won't have to deal with. Well, guess what? You are who you are. And who you are when you are at work working for someone else, that's going to be who you are when you have your own business, unless you are intentional about changing certain things. And so how you responded to a frustrating client or coworker when you were working for someone else, that's probably going to be the same way that you respond when you have a frustrating client
I love it. I love
or team member that you hired,
it.
right, that you hired when you have your own business. So, I just think it's important to be really, honest with ourselves about that.
It's funny because one of the phrases you said to me was clear eyes versus rose-colored lenses. I thought that
Yeah.
was a great takeaway. So I'm
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah. Anybody that wants to do it, I am like, yeah, go for it. But be clear.
it's funny because we know that entrepreneurship is trending. It's one of the things, but when is it safe to walk away and start your own business? I mean, I know, we don't want a romanticized view of it, but there are some people that, I see some people in the chat that are multitasking, multiple streams of income and all that great stuff. But when is it kind of safe to walk away?
There is no time. There is no one universal time that would say, when these sets of parameters in place and then it applies equally across the board, that's when you walk away. There's not that. That said, though, I think the way that people can measure it is if you were to go 6 months without getting a new client, would you be able to fund your lifestyle the way you want to fund it and still run your business, like take care of whatever the expenses are for running your business? So I would make sure that you at least have 6 months of runway. Otherwise, you're going to be stressed. And whether you realize that or not, energetically, that stress comes through. You might not know why people are not buying, but it could be because they can sense that you are stressed out.
Wow. It's another gem, guys, another gem. One of the other pearls of wisdom that I've heard you drop was you talked about there's an attractiveness to entrepreneurship when you have healthy finances versus anything else. And I have to ask you to talk about the because she could decision.
No. Yeah, I'll have to clean it up though for our audience. So because she could is the equivalent of, let's just call it mad money. And because she could really stems from someone that I know that was working somewhere, and it was their performance review time, and they didn't like the performance review and all of the things that came with it. And they're like, you know what? I don't have to deal with this. And they just left because she could.
Okay.
And I think the freedom to be able to work how you want to work, with whom you want to work, when you want to work, and how you want to work is absolutely incredible. And I think even if you don't have that extreme of a situation, there's a teachable lesson in there for us that speaks to, are you setting yourself up, whether you work for someone else or whether you work on your own, to have that because I could. I don't have to work with you because I don't need that. I don't need the revenue from that engagement. Or I don't have to take this mistreatment from this boss if you work in-house somewhere because you have resources or you have other streams of income. So yeah, because she could. Keep that in mind.
Because he could, it goes both ways.
Right.
I see a question in the chat. It says, when you are ready to commit to the endeavor and have the 6 months of runway for a cushion, Ms. Susie, you want to elaborate a little bit on that? Can you come off mute?
Yes, I was kind of piggybacking on what your brother had said. You asked the question, when is a good time? And then I was thinking, first of all, you have to be really ready and willing to commit to the endeavor. It can't be a just because I can, just because I could type thing. It has to be somebody willing to commit. And then she threw in the part about the 6 months of runway. And I'm thinking, if you have that 6 months of runway and you have the commitment, that to me, that's empowering. Yes. And it's also stress relieving that you can commit to your business without having to worry about the lights and the supplies and the supply and demand and everything. So I totally agree with what you were saying there. And I was just trying to see if the two would kind of go hand in hand together.
All right.
Yes, I do believe that they go hand in hand together. And I'm going to also say this, most people, when they start a business, let me rephrase this. There are very few people who have only ever worked for themselves. Most of us, when we start a business, it's because we are doing something on the side while we're working full time, but we start a side hustle, and that side hustle gets some legs to it. And you're like, oh, this is really viable. Maybe I need to do this full time. So that's one way. A second is maybe you get downsized and you use that severance time and hopefully severance pay to either continue with that side hustle, or maybe you use that because now you have the time to noodle on something and you want to see if that idea has legs. Or maybe you're in a situation where, you've got a significant other, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or someone who can take care of all of your household and lifestyle expenses. Or maybe you come from a really wealthy family and you don't have to worry about whether or not your business is quote unquote successful. But here's the thing. However you start your business, which is typically one of those four ways, what folks often tend to do is start their business and price their, products and services through the lens of, well, I don't need it to cover anything. And that always puts you at a disadvantage because you don't need it to survive. You don't price it in such a way as if you did need it to survive.
Wow. Whew. I'm telling you, these gems and nuggets, they're good. That's good. That's right. That's good. Thank you, Ms. Aldridge. Yes, indeed. For those of you who are just joining us, because I see a significant number of people have come in, we are talking with Jacquette M. Timmons, who is a financial behaviorist, who is really giving us some nuggets tonight. If you have a business, a Black-owned business, please make sure you drop it in the chat. You're an entrepreneur. There's all things entrepreneurial. I mean, she's just dropping gems tonight. But our subject tonight is really talking about a financial reset, right? And so I guess the question is, most people wait till the new year and go, new year, new me. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to pay down my debt. They make all these lists of resolutions, bucket lists. I don't know what you call it, things that they're going to do. Is it possible for us to really reset our money mindset? And if so, how in the world do we do that?
It is possible to reset. And I'm going to say this, don't wait until the new year. Like, why not start the reset now? But I think part of the reset requires taking some time to be reflective and look at where were you January of this year? Where are you now? Where did you hit it out of the park? Where did you strike out? Like, put it all out there.
Yeah, because most people look at their money mistakes and they don't look at the places where they actually had some wins. So I appreciate
Exactly. So, first take some time to reflect. How did the year go? How am I feeling about the year? What am I proud of? What do I want to work on? And then start to think about, well, what are the goals that I have for the coming year? And in terms of that reset, I think use what didn't go well this year as an opportunity to think about, well, what did I learn from it? Because maybe you didn't get what you wanted and maybe the experience sucked, but more than likely there was something that you learned that you would be able to apply to how you approach your 2023 goals and projects. So to me, you can't, when it comes to, resetting your mindset, you can't just think your way through to another mindset. You've got to take some actions. And so that reflection gives you a way to be much more intentional and more informed and more insightful about what those actions are for 2023.
Oh my gosh. This is so freeing because I literally always focus on what I did wrong. I'm like, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. But I love that you offer some alternative to that. You shared something about like giving a little space to your strengths.
Yeah.
And I love that reflective thing. I think that Facebook and all these other social media offer a year in review. They show you all your pictures from before. I don't think we do that effectively for our own selves. And so I thank you for even telling us to do a financial year review and not just look at the mistakes. And so I hope
Right.
everybody else received the same thing that I did from that. You also mentioned how we should begin the year. So we do the reflection, but where do we go from here? How do we, how should we start the year off after we've done our reflection? What's our next step?
Ask the question, what is it that you want money to do for you? Right. And so, because then you can reverse engineer once you have some clarity, and it doesn't have to be, I think some people get stuck because they feel like, well, in order for me to know what I want money to do for me, I need to, know these numbers with some precision. And that's not true. The number's directional. And so, a part of that reflection, I think, also can be an opportunity to ask, what is it that I want money to do for me? And look at it in a variety of domains, from a liquidity standpoint, in terms of savings, from an investment standpoint. And with regard to investing, don't just think about financial wealth, but also think about social or philanthropic wealth, time, physical wealth, that well-being bucket in terms of mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. What are you doing to build up that wealth reserve? Think about your lifestyle. How do you want to, what do you want, right? In terms of your lifestyle, and don't just focus on what you need. Like, give yourself permission to move beyond, oh, I can only afford this, or I can only have that. Like, if you could have anything that you wanted, what would it be? Because we are conditioned, most of us anyway, have been conditioned that we take what we have, and from that, we make decisions about saving, investing, and spending. Like, we make decisions about what's possible based upon what we have, as opposed to flipping it and saying, no, these are the things that I want money to do for me, but what do I need to earn to make that happen? And that just opens up a Pandora's box of so many other possibilities that you might not ever explore if you only looked at it through the lens of, let me make my money work for me. So in terms of getting ready for the new year, start with the question, what is it that you want money to do for you?
Yes. Everybody's in. Well, I see one person in chat. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki says she wants to travel. Is there anybody else that knows what they want money to do for them? If that's you, go ahead, drop it in the chat. Let us know what it is you want money to do for you. Let's start speaking those things.
And so with Nikki, I think you said, when she says, I want to travel, and she doesn't have to go into those details here, but I think a good thing to think about is just get more specific. Well, how many times do you want to travel in 2023? Where do you want to go in 2023? How do you want to travel? Do you want to travel 5-star? Do you want to travel 4? I know someone who, the wife wants to always travel first class, and the husband's like, yeah, I can do coach. But how do you want to travel? Because this is the thing, if you can get clearer about how many trips you want to take, where do you want to go, the way in which you want to travel, you can then begin to map out, this is what the financial profile of my travel is going to be for 2023. And then you can start allocating money towards that.
Love it. Love it. I see some freedom in the chat as well. Freedom to spend my time how I want to and to help others. This is great. We love it. We love it. We love it. You also mentioned when starting the year with a plan, one of the things we also discussed was that all or nothing approach. Can you talk a bit about?
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly what I said that day, but I think there's this tendency to only give credit for the successful completion or achievement of something. And we don't give credit to the things that lead up to it. So we kind of dismiss the small steps, the quote unquote small steps, the quote unquote small decisions. And we have this idea that if we didn't get, let me just stop being abstract. If we say, for example, just for illustrative purposes, you want to save $1,000. Mm-hmm. The all or nothing would be, I saved $1,000. I didn't. Something in between could be, maybe I only saved 750, but you made some progress along the way.
Got it. So making progress, and we need to document that progress or acknowledge.
Absolutely. I think you have to document everything. I'm a huge, there are a couple of things. One, I think you need to track. I'm not a budget person, but I am absolutely someone who advocates tracking, because tracking will give you insight around what you are actually doing with your money versus what you think you are doing with your money.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
in and of itself. But yes, go on.
yeah. And so with tracking, once you have accumulated enough information, it gives you that data that you can then go back and you can see patterns that you would not recognize if you were perhaps just creating a budget, because a budget is simply saying a threshold of what you will spend in a particular category. Whereas with tracking, you're literally keeping track of where your money is going. What's the expenditure? Is it a want? Is it a need? What's the dollar amount? Was it planned, unplanned? And all of that is data that you can then use to make more informed choices, especially if you are not getting the results that you want, because the results that you want and the results that you were getting come from the choices that you were making and the actions that you were taking. They don't just come out of thin air.
Oof. Ouch. I see some trackers. Okay, so Miss Royetta is a tracker. She tracks her spending daily. And then Sophia, I'm with you. Tracking. I love that. When you say budget, I feel like
Yeah.
so
So
you say-
what do you remember from what I said when we were chatting before about all or nothing?
well, when you said all or nothing, you were saying that we have to count those little increments as well. We have to acknowledge those
Oh,
things.
okay. So, okay. I just wanted to see if I had said something differently before.
Right there, because I just felt like if I didn't meet my financial goals, then I did not win. I wasn't successful, or if I didn't pay this amount of debt, then I did not win. It's like, you have to acknowledge those baby steps in between, because every step is moving forward. And I really thought that was a good takeaway, because like I said, it gave me a lot of freedom, because I always set these goals for myself, and they're not that they're lofty, but if I am off track for whatever, even if it's something like, I'm going to read my devotional every single, day, and I miss a day, I'm like, oh Lord, what has happened to my devotional life, So I am an all or nothing person. So when you gave that, it just gave me a different approach, not just financially, but even in life, if you're not succeeding in everything all the way, just counting those steps in between. So I really appreciated that part of our conversation. All right, Miss Barbara, in her 40 years on her own, she's never ever spent more than what she made a month. Woo! She said she loves that God put her around a new group of people and church that did not cherish material things. Woo! There's a freedom in that is for sure, and not cherishing material things. Thank you for sharing that. I know that there was one thing that you said that was also something I wanted to make sure that we kind of dealt with before we go into question and answer period, because I know there are some questions out there. You said that we should be asking ourselves something as we close out 2022. You said there were two really big questions that would help us to financially forge ahead in 2023.
What were those questions?
You said we should be asking ourselves two questions as we move forward. Wait, hold on, let me look at my notes. You literally said, when you're starting to look at your 2022, there are two questions you should ask yourself. And then I waited and I'm like, are you going to tell us? And you're like, yes, you're going to tell us, but do you remember?
Okay, wait a second. Was it not only how much were you spending, but of that, how much went toward your goals?
Absolutely.
That was okay. So while I am definitely a huge tracker, I do think that the piece that people get lost with is they're tracking their money, but they're not paying attention to how much of that actually went toward funding your goals. And I think that is incredibly important to know, because what's the point of knowing you spent $100 if you don't know how much of that $100 went to finance your goals? And the reason that becomes an important piece of information is 99.90% of the goals that you have a financial component to it. And knowing what that financial component is informs how do you spend your cash flow, And then what do you do with the money that you're setting aside for your goals? Do you keep it liquid in a savings account or a money market account, or do you actually invest it in something that's long-term? And the goal and the timing of that goal is what should dictate that choice.
Woo,
So that was one. Maybe the other question about paying attention?
very much so.
Okay. So the other question to ask is, when this week, or if you wanted to extend it this month, did you have to make a financial choice or spend money that you weren't expecting? And if it's the case that you realize you have an answer to that question all the time, you have an issue of not being prepared. It's not that it's unexpected. And so I encourage people to ask that question, not from a place of self-judgment or self-shame, but because there's a clue in there that's saying, hey, you need to start preparing for X, because this keeps showing up over and over and over and over again.
You were asked to repeat that portion about being prepared say it loud for the people in the back.
If you ask yourself the question, when this week or this month did you unexpectedly have to make a financial decision or spend money, and you find that you have an answer to that question every single time you go through that process, it's not that it's unexpected. It's because you're unprepared. And so that means that you are not paying attention.
Ouch, ouch, and more ouch.
Yeah. And again, I think it's a self-reflection from a place of love. Like, do not be judgmental and go down the rabbit hole of shame, but pay attention to what it's telling you, because it's telling you something.
Whew, okay. I think that's a really good time to kind of open the floor for questions. Somebody else is getting their collar or their shoes stepped on like me. My toes are stepped on. If you have any questions at this time, you can feel free to kind of jump in and share. You can share about your business. You can ask Jacquette questions. We want to make sure that we do not leave here. I mean, when we have such a wonderful resource at our tips, it's kind of time to dive in. When I first thought financial behaviorists, I thought about emotional spending and things of that nature and the stuff we kind of know that we do. And it's just so much bigger than that. It's so much, you just are such a wealth of knowledge. So is there anybody that has any questions at this time? I know you've been asking throughout, but we want to give some space. Like I said, while we have such a valuable resource in front of us, or even just comments or anything, any of the nuggets. So we've got over 50 people on the line today. So yes, great conversation. Wonderful. Thank you for the gems. That's from Shelly. Thank you, Shelly. Anybody else? All right.
I'd love to know, Shelly, what's one thing that you are going to implement?
Ooh, I see some raised hands too. Shelly, you're on the spot for that question.
Oh, is it Shelly? Yes, Shelly. Okay.
Shelly. Oh, the 2 questions. She says she's going to implement 2 questions. All right. So at this time, I want to say, right, is that Tanya Jones or Tania? Miss Jones? Are you able to?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How do you pronounce your name?
It's Tanya.
Okay, I was like, okay, Tanya.
Yes, and I would like to thank D-Free for one FinFest, because that's when I started to follow Miss Timmons. I follow her on Instagram, and I was looking at her website, but I am not a business owner, and I was interested in maybe your financial coaching, because I have had a dysfunctional relationship with money for the majority of my life. And I found myself really sick this past year. And I said, going into 2023, I wanted to correct that, behavior. And since you're a financial behaviorist, I was more so kind of interested in seeing if you do that.
I do. So send me a DM. I didn't know that we were connected, but send me a DM and we can talk about next steps. But I do work with folks that are not entrepreneurs and small business owners, but they do make up the bulk of my private coaching. But I'd love to explore and see if I can help you. So send me a
Okay.
DM.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Posting, at the close of our conversation, we're gonna put all of Jaquette's information so that you all can reach her. You know, we always try to make those things available to you. And so we'll make sure that we have that. Next up, Mr. Sam Nixon.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. How are you?
Well,
How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Just trying to get a few things finished here as we move towards the Christmas weekend there. But I unfortunately I didn't get a chance to hear the beginning of Ms. Simmons sharing. So all those tips and things that I did hear the last few minutes have been good. So appreciate that. And thank you very much there. And I'm glad that we'll have your contact towards the end there. My question is that as when you're giving the guidance in terms of what's good for tracking and keeping up with what's going on and celebrating the progress, even if it's not meeting the goal, or thinking of it from a perspective of both a business owner and my personal expenses tracking, I should say, how would you suggest to keep kind of good systems for thinking about keeping those two balanced there? Because on a weekly basis, as I'm looking at what I'm spending and what's coming in that's personal related, and then those things on the business side. So those two different systems, of course, but what's a good way to kind of do that efficiently, I guess is what I'm asking, so that you don't get bogged down in continual kind of activity trying to keep up with both.
So I nerd out on this stuff. So maybe that's the caveat.
I might be
That's the
asking
caveat.
Okay.
But
All right.
so here's what I do on a weekly basis from a business standpoint. I will track whatever revenue came in. I'm not tracking expenses on a weekly basis, but I am tracking on the business side weekly what came in. Monthly, I am looking at, what my expenses are both from my business standpoint and personally. And I have this philosophy that whether it's your business or personally, every expense you have needs to fight for the right to be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is it serving you? How is it serving you? Why is it serving you? Again, just like I say, what you offer has a job, that expense has a job. And is it doing its job, whatever you've assigned it? And in terms of tools, I've been tracking since 1995.
Okay.
So I still use Quicken. Let's put it this way. I've been a Mac person since 2008, but I have a PC that is just for Quicken because I cannot, as much to my CPA's chagrin, I cannot go to another tool. But that said, I use Quicken. I use a Google spreadsheet, and then I write every week. Like I'll write, how am I feeling about my sales? How am I feeling about my revenue? What's going up? Because, just like the stock market goes up and down, your sales goes up and down. And what you don't want to do is have it so that your feelings are really high when everything is going well, and then they plummet when things are not going well. You want to try to be even keeled throughout.
Okay.
And so that, to me, all of that, those are three different ways of staying engaged and connected with my money and understanding how am I feeling about that flow of money. Those are the tools that work for me. But I always suggest to people, think about whether or not you're going to do things on your phone, on a desktop, on a laptop, and then find an app that you actually like the interface with. Because if you don't like the interface, you're not going to use it. So, and I also believe that you should do stuff weekly at a minimum, monthly at most. If you let it go too long, if you let it go a quarter and you miss a quarter, it's hard to catch up. If you miss a week or you miss a month, it's easier to catch up. If you go beyond that, it's hard. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it sounds like three different systems there. You got your Google Sheets, your Quicken, and you're writing down the reactions there. So every week you are doing 3 different recordings, I guess there. And that's
Yes.
what I was wondering. if
And
was
it
a-
doesn't take long. And it could be because I already have my system in place, but it doesn't take long. If it takes me, 30 minutes to do my entire weekly review, to me, that's worth the 30 minutes when I think about the insight that I will gain. Because here's the other thing, you know how if you work as an employee, there's an annual review process, right?
Yep.
The problem with the annual review process is if you're not getting feedback along the way, that annual review process is actually the only time when you're being told both what went well and what you could have been working on the entire year. So for
Yeah.
me, those check-ins are a review, and they are a way to just do a really quick pulse check so that if I realize, oh, shoot, I might not meet my goal, I can actually get to work on trying to meet that goal earlier than if I
Yes.
waited until later to do that.
Yes, I'm with you there. So Reverend Sutton, I guess I got my marching orders there.
Yes.
Thank you much there. I appreciate that very much there.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Sister Timmons.
Thank
I'll
you.
look forward to communicating with you later on. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
perfect. Thank you. Thanks for
Yes.
your question.
All these folks in the chat as well. I see that people are recalling the gems that they receive, good information that we can use right away. Because someone's going to get back, Ms. Zellers is going to get back with her tracking. She's going to get back on track with tracking. I love that theme. FinFest was fire. Yes, we're going to drop a link in the chat to let you know FinFest was fire. There's so much information, and you get to see more of Miss Timmons on a FinFest because she had a phenomenal session, which is actually why she is our host, our guest today. We couldn't think of a better way to end the year than to have Miss Jaquette Timmons with us. And this is in response to demand. People loved her session so much. People said, when are you gonna get her? When are you gonna get her? So we have and so we're lucky to have her. So thank you so much. Yes,
Thank
FinFest
you.
was great. I see someone, Shelly Monroe. Yay, Shelly. She's gonna celebrate her progress. And if she does, even if she doesn't accomplish her initial goal, she's going to celebrate the progress she's made. That's me, Shelly. I'm giving you a high five. You see that virtual high five? That's me and you. Ditto to the questions and comments. Thank you, Miss Laverne. Miss Little says she liked the way that you expressed a dysfunctional relationship with money. Boom.
Oh, that was Tanya who said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Tanya. From Miss Barbara, she said, God bless you all. And she's just happy she got over compulsive spending. Woo! She said, it works when you work it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And we have some well wishes. Miss Marietta says,
And can I just say something? That when it comes to compulsive spending, it's because you're looking to feed an emotion that's not being fed elsewhere. So if that is something that someone is going through and they haven't quite addressed it fully, get curious around what's the emotion that compulsive spending is feeding, and then look for another way to feed it.
Ooh, another one. Lord have mercy, another gem. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nikki Gentry likes the phrase, give space to your strengths.
Yes.
So we're emotionally spending. We need to go ahead and tap into that and figure out why it is we're doing what we are doing. I'm telling you, I just love.
Yeah, because you know what, Chandra, here's the thing. We're human beings. We are emotional. And the thing is not to try to suppress or repress the emotion, but to understand what the emotion is. And for us, you, everybody, to be in the front leading how that emotion is influencing us rather than being pushed by the emotion. Because the emotion is going to be there. It's just the position of where are we in that equation.
Oh my goodness. This is exactly why you're one of my favorite humans.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have to think about. And I just have to tell everyone, we're just so happy to have had Jaquette with us. If you want to reach Jaquette, please feel free to reach out at hello@Jaquette Timmons.com. That is her website. Her website is right there, as well as her phone number. And she's given us her IG. If you're not following her already, follow her. I follow her. She drops gems every day. She's pretty consistent. Even throughout her sabbatical, she's being consistent. So we want to definitely make sure we thank our guest and follow her for more information. Again, go ahead and send her a DM if you're looking for your business to be enhanced. She's a wonderful, phenomenal resource. So make sure you screenshot that and make sure you get all of her information and follow her. Yes, indeed. And we just want to shout out all of you who are part of the $1 Billion Challenge. We are at $37,947,352. Woo! So thank you. And if you are not part of the $1 Billion Challenge already, it's a wonderful way to start resetting your money mindset. You can sign up at BillionDollarPaydown.com or BillionDollarChallenge.com. All roads lead to BDC. There's also a savings side of BDC. You know, this is our collective effort to pay down $1 billion worth of debt in the Black and Brown community. So if you're not already involved, you can get your church involved, your book club involved, your sorority involved. Go ahead and sign up. We don't need, this is a confidential space. It's like an online tracker. We're talking about tracking our money. This is a wonderful way to do so. Again, it's confidential. We don't need any of your social security number. We don't need your blood type. We don't need account numbers, none of those things. You just need to know what debt you want to pay off and how you're paying it off. And it goes toward our communal space. So there's so many people involved. We look for you to really join the $1 Billion Challenge and to really track your spending this year. Looking forward to it. When you're in the giving mood, if you want to give back to D-Free Global Foundation, there are many ways to do so. You can donate through Zelle. You can donate on our website, hitting the Give Back button. You can also donate through Cash App, or you can mail in your donation. We thank you for your tax-deductible donations all the time so that we can continue to serve our community in the way that we do for free. And so we thank you for your support while you're giving back. As a reminder, if you want more information about D-Free Global Foundation, you can visit our website at dfreefoundation.org. And we have that new updated D-Free Online Academy. We're getting excited about the launch where the facilitator course will be and all kinds of new things, new statistics, new videos from Dr. Sori. We even have an online host. That can be, you can actually start that at www.mydfree.org, same website, but you start to look for the enhancements. Again, if you want to sign up for the $1 Billion Challenge, you have 2 ways to do so. We mentioned it previously, and so we're hoping that you do move. If you want to contact us for any reason at all, if you want to start a D-Free ministry at your church, if you want to bring D-Free to your friend group or your family, or you want to bring the D-Free curriculum to your sorority or fraternity or any other group you're part of, you can reach us at 844-693-3733. That's 844-MY-D-Free. You can also reach us at info@mydfree.org. We have a team that is ready and willing and waiting to be able to assist you in all things D-Free. Again, I want to thank our special guest, Miss Jacquette. I always feel like I'm speaking like another language. Jacquette. We are so grateful for you and your expertise. I know that you're going to get a lot of calls from us and so emails as well as followers. Thank you for your time, even in your sabbatical. Everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, and all things you celebrate. Until next year, we'll see you again. Yes, great session. I'm so glad you enjoyed. Great session. Jacquette, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate
Great
it.
host.
Thank you very much. We'll see you again next year. Bye-bye,
See you
everyone.
next year. Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.